they feel like. And there are mechanics there that help enable that. There are things there that incentivize exploration and incentivize creativity. They're a very popular type of I guess we're gonna say design. It's a very popular type of design for a game, because there are games like Skyrim where the moment you start the game, you may have like 30 minutes to an hour of introduction, and you know, the game has to teach you certain mechanics. But once you get past that, then the game just opens up and you're free to do whatever you want. That is ideally what a sandbox game does. Breath of the Wild approached this beautifully, in my opinion, by not overwhelming you with your mechanics. You were dropped into this brand new Hyrule. A large part of that game and the wonder of that game comes from exploring the nooks and crannies of the game. Where I kind of get upset with Tears of the Kingdom is that it addressed a lot of things that I had gripes with in the original Breath of the Wild, but it also completely ignores all the other questions that I've asked as well. It's like, why isn't this a thing? Okay, that's a thing now. Great. But what about this? And for me, what really irks me about the game is that I love the Zelda lore. I love it. I love the fact that it's always been something that you can kind of come to your own conclusions about. That you can kind of be like, well, there's this thing, but what does that mean? Ooh. And I feel like, and I don't think this is Nintendo's fault, but I feel like a lot of the Zelda community shot itself in the foot with how they treated Skyward Sword. Because Skyward Sword got just critically panned. Everybody hammered it. Nobody liked how on rails it felt, which on rails is a term in games where once you start playing the game, right, there's really no sense of exploration. There's really no sense of being out of bounds. There's no sense of doing things on your own. It just feels like the game is holding your hand. For the sake of Skyward Sword, that was 100% necessary. Because the game was Nintendo's first attempt to tell a Zelda story. Because everybody in the community wanted it. It was a thing, right? Everybody wants to know more of the lore of what's going on. And so finally, in order to achieve that, Nintendo said, okay, we're going to make this game that addresses the story, that gives you, our community, everything you want. But you got to understand, we got to hold your hand. We have to, because there are story beats that you just can't afford to miss in the case of this game being on rails, or in the case of this game illuminating very specific points of lore. You know, who is Ganon? What is Ganon? That game addresses it. Who is Link? Who is Zelda? What is, you know, what are the Hylians? What is Hyrule? What is, you know, what is everything that happens in Zelda? Like, why does it happen the way it happens? And Skyward Sword addresses 100% of those questions, which is why I enjoyed that game so much, because I had been to that point, the person who loved the Zelda lore. So that game was meant for me. Was it on rails? Yeah. Could I handle it being on rails? Sure. Did I love the Joy-Con mechanics? Not all the time, but I do think they made the game much more immersive than it could have been on controller. And while they weren't perfect, they weren't terrible. So that game drops and everybody bitches about it. Everybody. Nobody likes that it's on rails. Nobody likes the control scheme of the game. Nobody likes that there aren't options for control scheme, which that I understand. Nintendo should have thought that one through and said, you know what? Let's give people the ability to switch between this and that. And I think that was a creative decision upon Numa that really bit him in the ass. Because if it wasn't for locking people into that control scheme, I I'm pretty sure people would have enjoyed the game far more. And when you put people behind a control scheme that not everybody's behind, you are forcing your audience to interact with something uncomfortably. You are forcing your audience to disconnect from the content you've created. And that's never a good thing. So I'm 100% behind that. They should have had a different option for control schemes. But was it as bad as the community said it was? Absolutely not. But the flack that game got forced Nintendo's hand in Breath of the Wild. And I do think Breath of the Wild's fantastic. I think it's great. I think Breath of the Wild is a standout Zelda game. I will go back. And the times before Tears of the Kingdom was released, that Breath of the Wild was available to me, I played it multiple times. I must have played through that game like 4 times. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought everything about that game was enjoyable and like really managed to capture the sense of exploration and discovery. Even through my 4th playthrough, I was constantly finding stuff that I was like, what is this? Now, granted, my gripes for that game were stuff I think should have been baked in from the beginning, but also, as we know, couldn't be, because it was just something the Wii U at the time was not capable of handling, which is the explanation for a lot of why Tears of the Kingdom is the way it is. Caves, the depths, right? The Sky Islands, everything that's in Tears of the Kingdom couldn't exist on the Wii U because the Wii U just was not powerful enough. It had 1 gig of, it had 1 gig of RAM. The CPU was not up to par. It was a machine that was incapable of the grandiose that Enuma initially wanted to bring into Breath of the Wild, which I completely understand. I get that. No problem. What I don't like, and really what burns me off of Tears of the Kingdom, and why I'm on my soapbox right now to begin with, is Tears of the Kingdom soared in a direction that I didn't think it needed to go. And while I'm not the designer of the game, I can't tell you how I think things should have been handled or have happened. I will say that as a Zelda fan, while I love getting more content and more game to play, I don't like feeling like I've paid X amount of money and time into something that just feels rehashed. And Tears of the Kingdom, if I'd never played Breath of the Wild and I only played Tears of the Kingdom, I would have a much different viewpoint. 100%. I would have a much different viewpoint. But because Tears of the Kingdom treads the same exact water, at some point with my playthrough of the game, it just felt like more of the same. And certain mechanics, like if we're to talk about Skyward Sword, certain mechanics completely disconnected me from the experience of what I was playing. And I think it's only because of my particular perspective. And I've pointed this out to Lonk. So Lonk, if you're there, this might be familiar for you. I've played Tears of the Kingdom in the past. I've put 100, 200 plus hours of Tears of the Kingdom in the past. And I don't mean Breath of the Wild. I mean specifically Banjo and Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. And if you haven't played that game, go play it. You will understand how intensely similar the building mechanics are in that game to Breath of the Wild. They're not 100%. They're not 100%, but they're decent enough to enjoy. And I've beaten Banjo and Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. 100%ed it. I put hours into that game. So when I come back into this game and there's a mechanic where your almost all of your travel is based around this one mechanic, it burns me a little bit, because it's like, this is not as original as people think it is. And for Nintendo to basically look at an idea like that and say, oh yeah, we're gonna put that into Zelda, is mind-blowing to me. Fucking mind-blowing. Because now at this point, it doesn't feel like it's there with intent. It feels like it's there just to be there. And to further that point, you got me on a really bad soapbox here. To further that point, none, absolutely zero of the Zonai devices were ever explained. Why they existed, what they did, why they were a thing. Outside of the fifth sage, which I hope I'm not spoiling anything for anybody. Some of it was, but ultimately it left more questions than it did answers. And for me, that was really upsetting. Because in some sense, if this was a saga, Breath of the Wild rooted a lot of questions, right? Let's assume it is. I don't know, but let's assume it is. Breath of the Wild rooted a lot of questions. Tears of the Kingdom answered almost none of them. And instead, almost decided as a game to say that the events of the first game just didn't happen. A lot of the NPCs in the world seem to have forgotten about certain things, which is upsetting because there's so much that you do in the first game that really nobody acknowledges, except for the fact that they acknowledge that you are Link the hero, right? Okay, great. What happened to everything? What happened to the divine beasts? What happened to all the guardians? What happened to it all? What happened to all the ruins? Like, there are ruins that are there, sure, but instead of addressing any of those things, everything just disappeared. And at no point in the game do they acknowledge that. And that was irksome because it was like, I was hoping to play a game that kind of put a bow on all the questions that I was asking from the original that I had thought were going to be addressed in this one. But they weren't. They were ignored. They were said, oh, well, here's new mystery and intrigue. The hope of a direct sequel is that you're going to answer some of those questions for me, dog. That's all I want. I just want some of these answers. Never happened. Okay? It's, yeah, I mean, that's the best way to put it, Tim. It's a sequel that fails to be a sequel. It's like, y'all ever see a really dope movie or play a really dope, I mean, I guess we could play a really good game, but I'm gonna make it comparable more to a movie. Y'all ever see a really good movie and then see the sequel and you're just like, wow, what the hell was that? Right? Where the sequel is so far removed from the original context of the first movie that it almost isn't even relevant, except for like maybe the bad guy or maybe the protagonist, right? I'm trying to think of a movie where that occurs. Movies don't usually do that. Usually sequels are kind of built on top of the lore or the world building that's already there. But it just seems like Nintendo just opted to ignore all of that. And it bugs me. It bugs me. Yeah, but see, I feel like with the Naked Gun, that's done for the sake of comedy. You don't need world building in the Naked Gun. In fact, I've like, I mean, I guess, but I don't know. Maybe, yo, how you doing, Quick? How you doing? Got hot in here again. Welcome back, Quick. You caught me at the end of a rant about how much I'm disappointed with Tears of the Kingdom. Because I am. I'm horribly disappointed with that game. And I don't even remember why the fuck I got on my soapbox either. We started talking about Tears of the Kingdom and I got upset. Yeah, Puppet Ganon from World. It's my favorite too. Thank you. Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Thank you, Misa. I love Puppet Ganon. I love Wind Waker Ganon. Wind Waker Ganon's dope, but I really do like Tears of the Kingdom Ganon. That's the one version. That's the one thing I think the game got right. Tears of the Kingdom Ganon is a menace. He's fucking terrifying. And like, I think that's good to have a terrifying antagonist. Yes. Yeah, I've seen like, I helped you figure out how to beat Puppet Ganon. You did. I remember that. You did help me figure out how to beat him. Thank you. Tears was a lot better than Breath of the Wild for the very least. I don't know how to feel about that. Do I think it was very better? Maybe. There was more shit. I don't know. I think that's a part of my headspace for that game too. Oh, Seaside Town. All right, nice. Because I think I can easily see myself revisiting Breath of the Wild. I don't see myself revisiting Tears of the Kingdom. Not anytime soon. Hey, yeah, yes. But like, I think that's part of my argument. I've been a diehard Zelda fan forever. And sandbox games have never really been my thing. Just because of the fact that like, sandbox games are built to be the game you buy and play for the rest of the year. Maybe 2, you know? And like, Tears of the Kingdom is 100%, it fits that bill. So I don't argue with that. But as far as Zelda goes, good lord, it's such a dramatic disconnect from the rest of the series that I'm never sure. Even now, I'm not sure how I need to think about it as a game. It's a fantastic game, no doubt, but I struggle with it. I struggle with it because it just, I don't know. It's so far removed from what it used to be, you know? Have you been saving frog coins? I sure have. I gotta visit this guy, right? The star has fallen into the ocean. I need it for a certain purpose. You must find it for me. Yeah, and like, I get it, right? Like, I completely understand that. Hello there, you're Mario, right? Do you remember me? We met at Tadpole Pond when I was still a tadpole. I've graduated from Frog Sage's school and now I'm searching for the meaning of life. It's been so quiet around here, it's almost eerie. Is something going on? It probably doesn't concern me, but if you have any frog coins, I've got some neat items. I 100% have frog coins. Oh! Coin trick. Hell yeah. I too am searching for the meaning of life, Mr. Frogman. Hey, let's go quick. Thanks for coming through to 3 of my streams, boss. Slowly becoming a regular. Hey, appreciate you, homie. I don't know what this is, but Pog, I guess. Yeah. It's just I don't know what it is either. I think it's just a feature that Twitch does to like recognize regulars, which I think is cool. That's dope. I don't mind that. I've never seen that before. It just means you're showing up to my shit. Thanks, boss. That's what that means. It just means you're here to support, and I appreciate that. Awesome. I love you, bro. Let's go. Hey. Oh god. Also, excuse me, I am getting over an illness, a sickness. Been a while since people came around here. What can I buy from you right now? Party cleanse. I'll buy 3 of these. Ship sank into the briny sea. It's a giant squid attack. Some people went in to survey it, but they never came back. Ugh. The horror. Hope you don't waste coins. This guy's got some good gear. Oh shit. Save block. Why is there a save block here? That's weird. You're a true fan. But yeah, I don't know. We got on the discussion. All right. We got into the discussion about Tears of the King. Oh, my favorite Ganon. Can we talk about this other game that hasn't been really loved in the franchise? Absolutely, bro. I love them all. Talk to me. Unless it's like the CDI one. I've never played it. You know, if I got a ROM of that game, I would play that game with crowd control 100%. I love Skyward Sword. I fucking love Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword is my shit. I was just talking about how much my favorite version of Zelda is Skyward Sword. Like, wifey material, man. I love. Let's see. Can you live on my mic? You can live on my mic. Favorite version right here, baby. That's what we're gonna do. Bro, that game has always had mixed feelings. See, I was just talking, like, bro, quick. Oh, I was bitching so hard. Like, literally minutes before you showed up, about how people didn't respect that game. And like how, in my opinion, it is one of the best Zelda games. And because unfortunately, Nintendo kind of screwed themselves with certain things, that game just got mad hate. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I played it day one. I loved the shit out of it. I thought it was fun, you know, and so many people shot on it because of its on rails and, you know, the control scheme and all that. Yeah, you fucking know, quick. Actually, I'm gonna swap you out. I need to heal your ass. You might die right now. Sorry, Malo. No, yeah, I won't say it's the greatest, but like, I love the lore of Zelda, so that game did everything I wanted it to. In my honest opinion, it's hard to say which is the greatest because none of the games are the same. But if we're talking about old school Zelda, and I mean like old school Zelda, I think Twilight Princess is a much better Ocarina of Time than Ocarina of Time is. I will consistently come back to Twilight Princess and enjoy that game. I won't necessarily feel that way about Ocarina of Time. I do think Ocarina of Time has a much better story. Story-wise, Ocarina of Time slaps, and it also has, in my opinion, the best Ganon fight, period. I was hoping Tears of the Kingdom would kind of dethrone that fight because there was so much potential with that beautiful fucking Ganondorf, but it didn't happen, and that made me really sad. I don't want to spoil how that game worked out, but whatever. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you 100%. Ocarina of Time's story is, it's beautiful. It's a work of art. I think the story is what makes that game stand out the way it does. 100%. Twilight Princess story is trash, but as a game, awesome. Oh, dude, I would always come back to Twilight Princess. I 100% wish Agatha was in more games. I wish Agatha would have gotten the Beetle treatment, because Agatha's my darling and I love her so much, and the fact that she only exists in one game hurts me so much. And I wish she would have gotten the Beetle treatment. I wish they would have just been like, you know what, Agatha's cool, let's bring her into more games and give her that like type of exposure and side questing story. Agatha could have 100% been that loser in Skyward Sword with the like who's super lanky and collects bugs. Fuck that guy. I would have rather had Agatha, you know, cell shaded and colorful and cartoony. But no, we got some fucking loser. I hated that guy. I hated both of those guys. I hated Groos's cronies. I love Groos. Groos is awesome. No hate on Groos. But his cronies were ass. His cronies were like so typically anime. It was lame. One game that I do hope gets a remake, because if they, and I was talking about this too, they remade Super Mario RPG, so now everything's on the table. I never thought this game was gonna get a remake, ever. So my hope is the next remake that Nintendo does is Minish Cap. Do not let that game live in obscurity. Yes, it's on NSO, but nobody gives a fuck about NSO. Remake the game. I will gladly pay $40-50 for Minish Cap remake. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I could respect that Majora's Mask is your favorite game of all time. Majora's Mask is interesting because I think it lives in a world of its own. 100%. I think Majora's Mask, as far as like Zelda games go, nothing will really ever compare to it, just because of how unique the game system was. And I kind of wish they would revisit it, just because it's so good. Like the game system for that game weirdly outlast. Like, I can get bored really quickly of Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. I can get bored of Skyward Sword, even Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But how the mechanics worked in that game in particular really made for something unique and almost never get boring. Yeah, but I think what made and yeah, I can 100% do that for you, Lunk, no problem. I'll message you right now. Yeah, it's tedious, but I think that's what made. Do I get the thought peak? Let's go. Hold on, wait. Oh, this fool's about to dance on me. The disrespect. Holding. Get him. You there as a Starman in this room, right? Is that what that chest is? I knew that. I just I just forgot. Is there more baddies? Let's go! Let's go! Look at him dance. It's my favorite part. Gino, you look so stiff. Yo, door? Oh shit, let's go. This is what I was looking for. Hey. I'll take it. Ooh, and a frog coin? How you doing? You still on your ad? If you don't mind, Lunk, give me a moment. I'll check it out around 4 because I'm gonna take a break. Okay, you were saying? Oh shit! No, I didn't mean to. Oh well. I think Majora's Mask is what I do think Majora's Mask is probably one of the best Zelda games, simply for its experimental mechanics, and I would like for them to revisit those mechanics, not in Majora's Mask, but in a brand new game, because I do think those mechanics can be explored further. And that I think that Enuma was actually onto something with the mechanics he was playing with. I don't know why he never revisited them. I feel like that was something, and it's interesting. It could have been because of sales, right? Like, everything comes down to sales. In the early days of the game industry, right? It's like a movie. If you don't make a certain amount, then it bombs. Even if it becomes a cult classic. Even if after the fact, everybody and their mother is like, holy shit, this movie's great. If it bombs the time of the release, then it's a bomb. Unfortunately, it's a flop. Video games